Hi guys, this is a video that talk where I'm going to introduce you to programming. Uh, we're going to base this on section 2.2 of the textbook. Okay, so we're going to start by talking about what we're doing, Python interpreter and code. Okay, so the Python interpreter is what we're going to be using, and we're going to be using the Thonny interpreter, which I've shown you before. Looks like this. And I also have shown you that it's useful to have the variable view up there like that. Now, okay, and I'm going to a blank page right now. Get away from that guy. Now, getting back to this guy. So, we have the Python interpreter, and it's a computer program that executes code written in Python programming language, basically, and that's what runs Python programs. Code is another way of saying what we're writing. And then there's prompts. Okay, so that has 2 or 3 greater thans to indicate that it's ready to be typed into, to tell it things. Now, that's the bottom here, is the shell, is the interactive interpreter stuff. And so we can write any kind of Python, any single line of Python code, and it will go and try to do it. So we can say 3 plus 7, and it goes and tells you what 3 plus 7 is. Or we can say print 3 plus 7, and now that's the word 3 plus 7. And okay, and let me put in is, so the words 3 plus 7 is, and we can put in 3 plus 7. And now it'll tell me 3 plus 7 is 10. So this is Python code in action. Now, so I'm going to put that into, oops, always forgetting. All right. So I'm going to put some of these definitions into our notes for today. So, the other major, so there you see, and I'm going to also copy this stuff into our notes that we just did. So, see. So there you see some prompting and action. Okay, so far I'm just using Python as a kind of fancy calculator. So what I'm going to do now is talk to you about how this whole thing works. Okay, so now we'll talk about executing a Python program. We now it's useful for doing simple things and testing individual lines, but to really write something, you want to have multiple lines. So you need to do something more or less like this. Why do I care? Okay. So we're going to have multiple statements, multiple lines of code. Expressions are code that return a value, like 3 plus 7. Okay? Now we create variables, and we've talked a little bit about variables, by assignments. We use the print, and we've discussed comments too, starting with hash sign. So that allows us to that still puts so now if we want to write some code, now we want to figure out what we want to do. So let's say a problem is to add up 3 numbers. So I'm going to create a variable called first number. And the equal sign says I'm creating a variable. And I'm going to now I'm going to use input to get the variable from the user. Enter the first number. Let me put a colon. I like to put colon space. Now if you want to see what this code does, okay, I can try it in the shell first and see what it does. Okay, so let's watch this code happen in the shell. Let's try this code in the shell. First number is input the first number, and I enter the first number. It asks me to enter the first number, and I'll say 5. And now if I type first number, it will know that it's 5 until I change it. The problem is it's not really 5. It's the word 5. If I want it to be a number, I have to say int around that. Okay, so we'll put int around that. So you see, right now it's saying it's the letter 5, not the number 5. That's what those quotes mean. So now I can test out my code and see if it makes it the number 5 or whatever. So now I have a variable, and it asks me to enter the first, let's say I say 7, and then if I look at first number now, it's just 7, not in quotes, because it's just a number at this point. Okay, so now what I really want to do is enter 3 numbers. And you see, it's actually telling me up here, first number is 7. So what I want to do is I'm going to copy and paste this, but I'm going to change first number. I'm going to create second number. And I'm going to change first here to second. And I'm going to do it again. Third. Wait a second. Copy. And change first to third. So now I have code that should get 3 numbers from the users. Now, how do we do this? When I run this, I'm going to run it using debug. So I can run it one line at a time. So I'm running the first line. It's asking me to enter the first number. And let's say that's 9. Oh, it's just running. Let's see. 8 and 2. Just created 3 numbers. And you say, okay, first number is 9, second number is 8, third number is 2. Okay, that's what happens. Now, if I want to debug the current script, what does it do? Oh, it doesn't want to let me do that. Okay, let me try that again. No, it's not going to let me do that. For some reason, it doesn't want to let me debug this guy. Okay, because I haven't saved it yet. Okay, so that's something I have to remember. I want to save this as downloads. Here it is in downloads, and this is numbers. I'm going to call this 3. Numbers 3. Okay, now I can debug it, I think. No, it's not. Still not going to let me debug it. Okay, whatever. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something with those 3 numbers. I'm going to print, going to get the sum of those 3 numbers, and this is an algorithm. The algorithm for adding up a bunch of numbers is for averaging a bunch of numbers is to sum them and divide them by the total number of numbers. So the point of this is to try and get the average. To start, I'm going to start by getting the sum. The sum is going to equal first number plus second number. Okay, actually I'll do it this way. Sum gets the first number, then the sum gets the sum, so I could use the sum that I already have and add it the second number. And then I'm going to take, now the sum should have the first and the second number. I'm going to add the third number. So you see, this isn't a math variable, this is a computer variable. Its value changes. A math variable it can have many values, but this actually changes its values. And now I'm going to say print the sum. Oh, first I'm going to say the sum is, and then I'm going to say sum. So let's see what I've got now. Okay. When I run this, it's going to ask me, oh, it's annoyed because I kept hitting run. Okay. It's going to try to ask me what to enter the first number. So I'm going to enter 5 because I like that. Let's try that again. Enter the first number. See what happens when I try to debug the current script. Alright, let's get out of that. Stop. Okay, debug the current script. Now I can get that working. Okay, I'm going to take my first step, and I'm going to execute the first step. Enter the first number. And I'm going to put in 5. So that's my one line. And you see the variable first number now has 5. Now I'm going to start executing. I'm going to step and execute the next line. And I'm going to put in 4. So now I have second number's value over here is 4. Now when I execute this line, I put in 6. Third number's value is 6. I'm going to keep walking in this one step at a time. So now I'm going to say sum. You see, sum is now 5. Just puts them in alphabetical order, okay? And that's after I take this step. My next step, now sum is 9, because it's added second number to the original sum. And now sum is 15. And then the last step is to print the sum is 15. But I'm really aiming to figure out the average. How do you figure out the average? Well, we take the sum and divide it by 3. So I'm just going to print the average is sum divided by 3. Let's see if that works. Okay, so I'm going to run this again. Okay, you've seen the thing running one step at a time. Just go run it through this time. Enter first number, and we're going to put in 9, and then I'm going to put in 2, and then I'm going to put in 11. So it's going to tell me the first number was 9, the second number was 2, the third number was 11, the average was 22, the sum is 22, and the average is 7.33333. So that is a little introduction to how we program.